Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm freshly back from group with my results and definitely got the result I deserved this week. The reason I say that is because only I make a decision about what I eat and how much I exercise. Only I make the choices about what I'm going to eat. So my food, my weight, my responsibility. So the result I get is inevitably what I deserve because of my actions. Right, I'm going to ask Jo to just read a little log for us. The first thing I did this week was I decided to keep a log of my number of A choices, number of B choices, number of sins each day. It works better for me to have slightly more sins at a weekend because that's when we're liable to go out for coffee or I'm liable to buy a nut bar at the health food shop. So when I say I'll have between 5 and 10 sins a day, I average that over my 7 days. I know not everybody does that, some people just do it on a daily basis. But Jo will read that log for us now.
Okay, so Saturday, 1A, 2Bs, 15.5 sins. Sunday, 1A, 1B, 16.5 sins. Monday, 1A, 1B, 5 sins. Tuesday, 1A, 2Bs, 5.5 sins. Wednesday, 2A's, 1B, 8 sins. Thursday, 2A's, 2B's, 5.5 sins. And Friday, 2A's, 2B's, 10.5 sins.
For me, one of the pleasures of being at Target is that you can tweak your A's and B choices. So rather than increasing sins over and above what actually works for you as an individual, you get the balance more from tweaking the A and B choices. And this week, because of the number of sins I chose to have each day, I averaged 9.5 per day. That works for me, works nicely for me. So my result this week, what did I get? A loss of £2.5. And I'm happy with that. It has me way below target. And how do I feel about that? I don't want to be obsessed by numbers. I'm quite comfortable within my skin. If my body wants to be where it's at today, I can go with that and pay for group. I'm not worried. My target is 10 stone and I really don't think I need to drop it to 9.5 stone, although today I am 9 stone 6.5. The first weigh-in of last month I was 9 stone 8. So I could, in effect, drop my target to 9 stone 7, but I don't feel an overwhelming need to do that. Because my target's 10 stone, ideally I should be between 9 stone 11 and 10 stone 3. My BMI of 25, which is the highest BMI I think I should be aiming to have for a healthy BMI, would have me at 9 stone 11. At the weight I am today, I think my BMI is 24.6. My doctor's happy with that. I'm happy with that. If I can stay 1 or 2 pounds around where I'm at now, feeling comfortable in my clothes, feeling comfortable in my skin, then I'm not going to complain if it costs me £4.95 a week. I know my consultant would be happy for me to move my target, but I don't feel the need to do that today. One of the things that struck me this week, I was speaking to somebody, we were talking actually about eating cake. There was a friend I was out with on Monday, we were talking about eating cake. And should I have a piece, we went for coffee, should I have a piece of cake or shouldn't I? There wasn't anything there that really grabbed me. I did quite fancy a scone, but they didn't have any plain ones. I don't do sultana ones, I'm not into cheese ones. So no, I wasn't bothered, had my coffee. And she was saying to me, isn't it worth a piece of cake? Weight gain worth a piece of cake. And we were laughing about it and I said, no, actually, it's not. Because when I got dressed this morning and I just slipped into my clothes and everything buttoned easily and zipped easily, there isn't anything that tastes as good as that feels. So I know one piece of cake wouldn't stop my clothes fitting well. But the problem with me is I have such obsessive behaviour that one piece of cake would never stop there. It just opens the floodgates, it's a trigger. Why put myself in that place? I just won't do it anymore. And I was not deprived by not having a piece of cake. I really was not. So, yeah, that's good for me this week. At group this morning, it was brilliant as usual. When I arrive to group, I usually am greeted by a lovely Scottish lady, and she's on holiday. So this morning I was actually greeted by my consultant. There are other volunteers who would have happily taken me to the weigh-in station and, you know, my chair and everything, because I'm totally blind, I need that help. But I was actually greeted by my consultant with a hug and a kiss, and we dumped all my stuff on my chair. We went together to the weigh-in station. I got weighed. She then took me to my chair. She then made me a cup of coffee. I mean, what more could you ask from your consultant? I really feel like I belong in that group, just the same way everybody else does in that room. No favouritism, no special treatment, everybody really welcome. And what we did today, instead of traditional image therapy, she played us a song, and I've never heard it before, and I couldn't even tell you who sang it, but it was very uplifting, and it was called something like, "What have you done today to make you proud?" Perhaps somebody could message me below and tell me who sings it. It sounded like a boy band. But we were talking about what have we done, or what are we proud of today because of, you know, our relationship with Slimming World. And we went around the room and people were sharing different stuff that they were proud of. But you know, so many of us cried in group today because there was so much emotional stuff there that you don't realise when you're sitting in group how little you know about the other people in that room unless they decide to share it. And I tell you, this morning I cried 3 times because of what other people have overcome because of Slimming World and their ability to live this lifestyle and the things that they've overcome. It's just unbelievable. I'm not going to share them because they're not my business. But there's more to living the Slimming World lifestyle than just changing the way you eat. And it's definitely not a diet, it is a lifestyle. So some amazing things were said and some amazing things were shared in that room this morning. And I've come away actually feeling so full of hope. I shared a couple of things. One was that today, by the grace of God and Slimming World, I feel I am overcoming binge eating, emotional eating, compulsive eating. I think I'm in recovery today from all of those things. I'm certainly in recovery from 20 odd years of bulimia. And I think it's today because of Slimming World and because of the way I choose to live this plan, one day at a time, no days off. I've got in my hand a stone that I carry in my handbag. It was shown in my What's in My Bag video from a few weeks ago. This stone was given to me at a 12-step meeting, Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in Bristol. Must be over 25 years ago. I've never been a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcohol's never been an issue with me, but food was, and mainly sugar, I think. But I used to go to 12-step conventions to learn more about living a life of abstinence. So how to abstain from different kinds of eating behaviours. And I joined an organisation called OA, which is Overeaters Anonymous. I don't go to meetings anymore, but I do still believe in what they teach. A lad gave me this stone, and I carry it with me all the time. It's wearing out, the print on it's wearing out, because it's been in my hand so many times. It's been in my hand when I've wanted to have cake in my hand. You're not going to chew on this. It's taught me to take my life one day at a time. And now that I'm living the Slimming World plan, it's taught me to take my food one day at a time. And that's given me massive freedoms. Because before, whilst eating my breakfast, I would have been obsessing about what snacks I was going to have that day, what lunch I was going to have that day, what secret food I could eat that day. How could I manage to pretend I really, really wanted to do the washing up on my own so I could shut the lounge door and stuff my face while my husband was watching the news? What could I sneak into the bathroom to eat? All of this was in my head continuously. I never stopped thinking about food. Today, because of Slimming World, I've adopted a different way of eating. For the whole of March, I chose to eat 3 meals a day, nothing in between. Cut out the snacks totally. Do you know, I thought I would be white knuckling it. I thought I would be desperate. I thought it would be willpower. I don't have any willpower, so I couldn't rely on that. And I have found it so comfortable, because taking away all the thoughts about what can I eat next, what can I, how many things can I eat for my sins, what should I spend my healthy extra choices on. I only have food in the house today that is food I can freely eat. I don't have multi-packs of anything. I don't have crisps, biscuits, chocolate, fizzy pop, pork pie, cakes, pies of any kinds, anything that to me would be a trigger food. And that gives me the ability to say no so much easier.
And the funny thing is, listening to that list of things that you just listed off, was that they're all processed foods. All of them have multiple ingredients or have been through some sort of manufacturing process.
That's what I craved all the time though. And I think there is something to be said for me today to look at one ingredient foods, or foods that are combined single ingredients. Like if I'm going to make a casserole, it goes fresh veg and whatever. If I'm going to cook chicken with herbs or whatever, but I don't buy any processed food anymore, because that's the kind of food, and I don't know what they put in it, whether it's monosodium glutamate, whether it's the E numbers, whether it's additives and preservatives. There is stuff in there that triggers off an obsession in me that is something I don't want to be dealing with today. So I've had to change my behaviours. But because of that, you all know 2 weeks ago I stopped eating hi-fi bars. I've never thought about them once this week. Not once. And yet I could, I'd be thinking, even when my eating was in a good place, at what point can I eat my hi-fi bars? Joe will tell you, I had to have 2 and I had to have them together. And they had to be chocolate orange because it was my favourite. And that's gone. This week I've had a second B choice some days, but when I've had it, it's been rye crackers or it's been walnuts. And I'm not kidding myself anymore with little stupid things like I'm going to introduce coconut oil as a second A choice. What the hell did I think I was doing back there only a month ago? My brain was still playing those same old tricks. Somebody very kindly pointed out to me, in a nice way, on my comments, why are you doing this? It's not an A choice. And they were right. And I love it when people do that, because I do need a nudge in the right direction occasionally. This is not hard. For me, Slimming World is not hard. But likewise, it's not an easy thing to do. But it is simple, as long as I stick to the rules that work for me and that are planned. It's no good me saying, it says I can have a 60-gram wholemeal roll. Well, I'm going to change that and I'm going to have a hot cross bun instead. A hot cross bun's sins, just count them. Coconut oil is sins. I am still eating coconut oil several times a week, but I'm sinning it.
Those foods as well.
Uh-huh.
They're made by scientists. They're not made by chefs in kitchens. They're made by scientists, food scientists in laboratories. And one of the techniques that food scientists use is a technique called vanishing caloric density.
Never heard of it.
Right. Would you let me read a kind of bit about it on your page? Because it is interesting. Painstakingly researched by food scientists, certain snacks and foods trigger your brain into thinking those foods have no calories. First brought to light by food scientist Stephen Witherley, this phenomenon is called vanishing caloric density, and here's how it works. Witherley describes Cheetos as the perfect example of vanishing caloric density. Besides the fact that they taste amazing, Cheetos have an interesting texture and construction that makes them melt in your mouth. When a food melts down quickly in your mouth, your brain interprets the food as having no calories.
Goodness.
As if once the food has disappeared, so you have the calories. Right? And this is why you can keep eating Cheetos for a long time without feeling full. Other foods with the same effect include ice cream, popcorn, and cotton candy. If junk food already tastes good, we're likely to eat it anyway. So why are food scientists so focused on vanishing caloric density? The reason is sensory specific satiety. And
sensory specific satiety.
Yeah, and it's all about the psychology of eating. Perhaps you love pizza. You love pizza so much you think, I could eat pizza all the time, every day. In reality though, eventually you get pretty tired of pizza, and sensory specific satiety is the reason. Humans crave novelty. Even though we enjoy a certain food, at some point we'll desire something else. When food scientists work with a company to develop snacks and products, they take facts like vanishing caloric density and sensory specific satiety into account. Snack foods like Doritos or Cheetos don't have a specific single flavour. Every flavour melds together. This avoids sensory specific satiety, so you'll keep going back for more. And those chips melting in your mouth, send the vanishing caloric density signal to your brain, keeping you dipping into the bag. The trifecta is then completed with the 1, 2, 3 punch of sugar, fat and salt. With the perfect combination of these three nutrients, our taste buds send a message to the pleasure centres of our brains saying, keep eating more, please. And so it goes on.
Right, stop there. That's enough. And my brain's awash. But you know, that speaks volumes to me, because think about, what are those crisp things that come in the tall tube? Pringles. If you think about the texture of Pringles, they're obviously mushed up and then reconstituted, because they're not the texture of a crisp, are they? They've got like, I don't know. I could eat a whole tube of those and not know I'd had them. I've never eaten Cheetos, but I'm assuming they're something like Monster Munch.
What's it?
Have I had them?
Those cheesy puffs.
Oh no, I don't like those, but I like Monster Munch.
They're all the same.
Are they all the same sort of texture?
Yeah, they're all going to be the same.
Anything like that, because I like sharp, strong flavours like pickled onion and red hot, spicy things and that. But I have never ever in the whole of my life been satisfied by anything like that. I notice that there's on Slimming World, there's a great desire for popcorn. I don't eat popcorn because I've never been satisfied by it, apart from the fact that most corn is genetically modified and I'm not into that. But that actual texture of food just doesn't do anything for me other than make me want more. So that actual information, although it was a bit long-winded, has kind of revealed to me that's why I avoid those kind of foods today, why I need to avoid those kind of foods today. Now again, I'm not saying what anybody else should do, I'm just telling you what I do. The same way I need to avoid pork pie because it just doesn't help me. So trigger foods have had to take a back seat. In fact, today there are some foods that I just won't eat, just don't have them in the house, won't entertain them. But most of the changes I think I've made that are making the difference between me living this plan one day at a time and succeeding, and living my life totally obsessed by food and failing, are the choices that have become habits. I know for me, I have the same breakfast every day. People might say boring. That breakfast makes me want to bounce out of bed. It's a good habit for me. What was a bad habit for me was getting up and not knowing what I was going to have. Because I would wander around the kitchen and my brain's going, pick something that's going to make you full, pick something that's going to make you stuffed. Get the toaster out. 6, 8, 10 slices of toast later, you feel crap. So blowing it for the day, might as well carry on blowing it. My new habit is breakfast I love more than anything. Eat it, feel satisfied, move on with my day. I never plan my food way ahead. We always have enough food in the house for me to have good choices. I cannot plan my food a week in advance. Because if I said to you today's Saturday and for my tea on Monday I am going to have chicken curry, I would be thinking, chicken curry, I want it today. No, can't have it till Monday. But when it came to Monday, I'd be thinking, tomorrow night's fish. I think I'd rather have fish. It's all too much thinking about food. So I've had to let go of a lot of that thinking, because for me, it just becomes an obsession. And I've spent 59 years obsessing about food. I've had enough. So I've very much been looking at, in the last month, changing habits. And one of those habits that I had was the snacking habit. Now, you'll have heard me say on here before, I got rid of my television to stop me snacking in the evenings. Very extreme, you might say, but it's a bit different for me because I don't need a television. I'm not a telly watcher. As a blind person, I find television really boring. So much more interesting things I can do with my time. Again, other people enjoy television, that's their business. But for me, sitting in front of the television and being bored meant doing this. Continually, for hours. Even if it was daytime television, it didn't need to be nighttime. It was one of those places where I ate. I needed to change that habit, so I got rid of the television. Gradually I cut down on a lot of the snacking, but it was still there. The obsession, the compulsion, the desire was still there. And I've had to rein it in because I don't want to be sitting around at night eating just before I go to bed. I don't want to be thinking what can I have between breakfast and lunch. I don't want to be thinking what can I have between lunch and dinner. I have 3 meals a day, nothing in between, but 3 generous meals a day. I'm not hungry in between meals. If something happened in the afternoon and I knew I was going to be late home for my dinner, I don't have it in such a hard and fast way that I couldn't get some food if I was hungry, but I'm not going to eat for the sake of eating anymore. Too many years that ruled me. Food was my God, it was my entertainment, it was at times my only friend, or I thought it was. I'm not going back there. In fact, we were laughing before group this morning, we're talking about something along these similar lines, and I said to the girls, we banned the word treats. I wish somebody had banned the word snack, because sometimes it's all you hear. Snack, 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 snack. You're on the bus, everybody's talking about, well, everybody's eating these days on the bus. It's all about snacks. But I think for a lot of people, it's become a way of grazing through the day. And I know I used to do that. I would avoid having proper meals if I could just eat continuously all day. Never had time to have a meal. So, yeah, very much looked at in the last month, changing habits. And some of the things that are like opening up to me and the behaviours that are changing are really surprising. So I know today what I can eat, I know what I shouldn't eat. I know how much I should eat because I understand today what it is to feel satiated and what it is to feel satisfied. I don't have to feel like I'm bursting out of my britches to know that I've had a good meal. Was there anything else I was planning to talk about, Joe? Because I feel like I've gone on for quite a while.
It was more about, well, we've got one day at a time, taking responsibility as a grown-up.
Oh yeah, I can just touch on that. Something I had said in conversation with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and she pulled me up on it, and it came to mind today, was we're talking about childhood. Well, we're actually talking about school dinners and school puddings, and I said I was really blessed because I went to a very small school, only had 30 kids in the whole school. School dinners were like home-cooked meals, and they were amazing. Gave me a taste for some of the most incredible puddings that I still have today. I mean, I you know, butterscotch tart, cornflake tart, all of those things that, you know, remind you of school. And I said to my friend, you know, my weight problems come from childhood because I was overfed as a child. My mum always gave us a cooked dinner and pudding when we came home from school. We never came home to bread and jam like some of my friends did. And we always had a really good school dinner. We always had biscuits at break with our milk. You know, we used to get the little bottle of milk. Those of us who are old enough to remember, we got biscuits with ours, and they were homemade. Tiny school. So I'm blaming my weight problems on my family, my mother, my genetic makeup. My grandma was overweight. My mum is a bit. You know, it's all their fault. Bullshit. I realise today, acting as a grown-up, yes, when I was very, very small, my mum fed me. As I got older and, you know, into secondary school and everything, and got away from this fabulous little school I went to and went to having school dinners and that, I chose to have chips every day. Didn't have to. Other friends had salads. I chose to have chips every day. And if I couldn't have chips at school because they weren't on, I went to the pit canteen because I lived in a mining town, and I'd have chips there. And sometimes I'd get a bag of chips on my way home as well. They were my choices. And my friend Bev was laughing because she said, can I just remind you of one thing? You're blaming your mother for your weight problems. You left home at 16, Jane. That's 44 years ago. Who are you blaming since then? And it was like, me. Time I acted like a grown-up and took responsibility for my own actions. 44 years since I left home. It's hardly my mother's fault I was fat. My choice. So yeah, that was quite a revelation. And as I'm getting further and further into this weight loss journey and living a different lifestyle, you know, these things are coming to light, but I don't need to beat myself up over them. I can laugh about them today. When I look back, I think for years I ate over these same issues. Today I can laugh about it because I'm free from it. And that gives me joy. Anything else before I wind up?
About how when you have a habit, it happens on autopilot. You don't have to think about it happening.
We were talking in the car earlier about something called decision fatigue. When you're continually making decisions from the start of the day when you're wide awake to the end of the day when you're worn out and knackered, it's easier to make decisions at the start of the day. Your brain's not tired. By the end of the day,
It's like a resource, like money.
Yeah. There is a thing called decision fatigue, and you can Google it. By the end of the day, it's really hard to make decisions. So if you've got nothing in the house really for tea because you haven't done your shopping or you haven't kept your fridge stocked up and that, at the end of the day, when you've got decision fatigue and you're trying to stick to plan, you're far more likely to fail and say, sod it, let's get a takeaway, than you are if you keep your cupboards stocked, keep your fridge and freezer stocked, plan your meals for that day. So when you go out for work in the morning, or when I get up in the morning, I look at the day, I know roughly what I'm going to have for my dinner tonight because I know what's in my fridge and what's in my freezer, and I've got a plan. That's far enough. That's as far as I need to go. I've got enough to deal with in the day. I don't need to be fretting about yesterday, worrying about tomorrow. But I do need to have made good choices which are habit forming. And the more it gets to be a habit, there's no stress in that. You know, if I know that tonight I am going to have, what shall I have for my dinner tonight? Chicken. I'm going to have chicken for my dinner tonight and vegetables. Simple. I don't need to even think about it. So I'm not going to get to 5:30 tonight and say, oh God, I'm knackered, I can't think straight because I'm so tired. What am I going to have for dinner? Sod it, I'll have a takeaway. So for me, the habits get stronger and stronger and stronger, and they overcome and compensate for the fact that I have no willpower. Because people often say to me, how do you stick to it all the time? You must have amazing willpower. I can tell you now, I have no willpower.
Yeah,
at
you
all.
just make the habit of eating on plan.
Absolutely. I'm just making this a lifestyle of habits, and it's working for me. I like it because it's taken so much stress out of my life. And yeah, today I love my food, but I don't eat Cheetos. I don't eat, what are those other things called? I said
Doritos.
No, I've never had a Dorito. I don't like Pringles.
Yeah.
I don't eat Cheetos. I don't eat Pringles. I don't eat popcorn. I'm not saying you're wrong if you do, but for me...
But just know they're manufactured to...
Yeah, they're just empty calories. If I'm going to spend 6 sins today...
They trick your subconscious into thinking that they don't contain any calories.
Yeah. If I'm going to spend 6 sins today, I'd rather... Or 6.5 sins, a new naked mint bar. Yeah. 10.5 sins, coconut cream dark chocolate bar from the health food store. Yeah. But I'm not going to spend, even if I had a half a spare sin, I'm not going to spend it on one of... What? Tell me what they're called. Those sticks.
Mikado.
Micados. I've never had a Mikado, and I smile every time I see somebody saying you can have one of these for half a sin. Why would you? I'm sorry, but I needed to get over a massive, massive obesity problem. I was never going to get to where I am today eating Micados. It's behaviour I had to change. Again, not judging anybody else, I'm just telling you what I've had to do. And I'm going now because my camera battery's about to go. I need to get on with my day. And yeah, as I always say, or my version of what I'm saying today is, it worked because I worked it. It wouldn't if I hadn't. All right, I'll see you next week. Cheers.